So greetings, everybody. Welcome back. I am Lynn Gilliland, the host of Lessons from Leaders, which is a podcast sponsored by Humentum and also by Lynn Gilliland Consulting. And today I am over the moon about having Esther Benjamin here, who is the CEO and Executive Director of World Education Services. And I'm over the moon for two reasons, Esther. One, I've known you for, you and I knew each other many years ago, and you were in a different position, in a different organization. So it's so exciting to see you now and all the things that you have accomplished in, for me, what seems like a really short amount of time. So anyways, thank you for taking time to be with us.
Thank you so much. It's great to reconnect, and it's great to be here with you.
Thank you. And for starting out, why don't you just tell us a little about how your personal journey and how that influences the way that you do your work, the way you see the world, the way you lead.
Oh, thanks. I originate in Sri Lanka, a small village in the northern part of Sri Lanka. And my family immigrated to the United States when, I came the first time, and then we returned and we came back for good. So immigrants to the United States, and we came to the US seeking educational opportunity and freedom and, livelihood opportunities. And I've been blessed with so many privileges and blessings in the United States. And I've had an opportunity to go on in my career to work globally. I've had a chance to live, work, travel in over 100 countries around the world. I've had a chance to work across sectors, so in business, in government, and in nonprofit organizations. And I think the theme across all of my work experiences has been to drive impact at scale. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been doing for almost 3 decades now.
And do you think that history, being born in Sri Lanka and coming and going and coming and being an immigrant, do you think that gives you a different lens? Or I don't know if it's a different lens, but a specific lens that you see things through?
Absolutely. I'm now, as you said, helping run an organization called World Education Services. And we focus on international students, immigrants, and refugees, and making sure that they are able to leverage education and experience and skills gained in different parts of the world, and to bring the richness of their education skills and experience to North America. And having immigrated myself, having been an international student myself, it enables me to have real empathy and appreciation for those who come to North America from around the world. It gives me a special appreciation for those who seek out opportunities for global mobility. I also think that my experience has given me a strong sense of an obligation to give back. I do believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. And I show up in the world every day with a sense that I've been blessed, and in turn, I need to pay it forward and to make a difference for others every day.
That's interesting, because I could see that the paying it forward could also come as a personal cost to you. And I'm just remembering that you did, and not you personally, but that to one. And I do know that you took some time off And I think it was right during COVID or right before COVID. And so I'm connecting things that maybe don't go together, but that, too much is given, much. How does that go? Too much is
Much to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yeah. So does that come with a drive that sometimes can wear you down?
Absolutely. I did take a break. I did a 1 year sort of professional, personal life sabbatical. And I did it the year that I was 49 years old. And I did it at a crucial moment in my life when I needed to take a break from having really pushed myself pretty hard in my career. And I had been working flat out for 25 years. And I needed to step back, take a deep breath, reflect on everything I had a chance to do, how I had pursued these different chapters of my life. I had also been on the road quite a bit. And so it was a moment to step back, relax, rest, and get re-energized for the next chapter or chapters. And after a year of reflection and recharging, I went back to work, and that is when I joined Wes. And I joined Wes with the time to have really thought carefully about what I had done and what I wanted to commit to for the next 15 years or so, and how I wanted to do things differently. I also learned to sleep during that time, to sleep for 7-8 hours. So those of us in social impact careers, I think we often forget about ourselves in the course of contributing what we can. So yes, thanks for asking me about that, Lynn.
Well, because it came to me, you're welcome, because that's one thing that's come up during COVID is everybody's exhausted, and the CEOs are, probably HR, executive vice presidents and CEOs are just exhausted. And so where does the self-care come in? And so I wanted to pull that out. You took time off, even though you carry this personal mission of, much has been given to me, and so I want to give much back. And you knew that to be at your best, that you could take that time out. And I also wanted to point out that you knew you'd be okay. You would get another job. You wouldn't get lost in the shuffle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a great need for people with experience and perspective and talent and leadership. And we often worry if there is another organization out there for you and whether these opportunities are going to come by. And what I learned is that there were, in fact, so many organizations out there. And, it was a fantastic moment for me to realize that there were options. Optionality is always a good thing in your career. And it gave me a chance to select just the right next chapter for me, leveraging what I had done so far and just bringing my perspective and talent to bear on a wonderful mission.
And it does seem like this is just like the confluence of many things for you. Yeah. We had talked about it's both business and philanthropy, it's education for immigrants. It's like it's a coming together of so many, I don't know what the word is. I want to say confluence. I don't know if that's the right word, of your background, your capabilities, your purpose in the world. So that's my impression.
Yeah, when we give ourselves a break and a moment to reflect, the universe does conspire for you. And I found this incredible mission that I could contribute my skills and expertise to, and found that I could work at the intersection of global higher education and workforce development and global mobility, all these passions that I had. And I also found that I could bring my business skills and my interest in philanthropy and social impact together. And all of this came together. So I would say you'd be surprised how things come together to really touch on all of your passion and all of your skills if you just step back and give yourself a moment.
I just think that's so important. And, when we talked about what we were going to talk about, that didn't come up so much. And I'm just highlighting it for everyone, for myself, the stepping back, how that contributes to being able to step forward strongly with purpose. And I think that's an important message right now. But actually, we do have the great resignation. So maybe people are already clued into that. So maybe that's already happening. You led that.
It is happening. It is happening.
You led the charge inadvertently.
I did that a little bit before COVID, but right. As I've watched friends, so many friends step back and think about what it is they really wanted to do. I'm actually happy to see people getting closer to their passion and closer to what it is that the world needs that they can offer. I have this quote that I love, and it's by an American writer and theologian, Frederick Buechner. And he said, "Vocation is the place where our deep gladness meets the world's deep need. Vocation is the place where our deep gladness meets the world's deep need." So if you can think about what it is that makes you happy, brings you gladness, and overlaps with what the world is in need of, that's exactly where you ought to be. So I think we have to ask ourselves that question many times in our career.
And I love that he says gladness, not happiness, not joy, like gladness. I love that.
Yeah. Thank
you for that. And do you have the poet's name?
The writer's name is Frederick Buechner.
Okay. Just so we can, if somebody wants to look it up. So what have you learned about leading during times of COVID?
Yeah, March of 2020 was a scary moment for all of us, every single person, and certainly an uncertain and scary moment for CEOs. Mm-hmm. And having had many jobs where I had to develop my skills in crisis management, I was able to draw on those experiences to navigate the organization through an uncertain moment. Those of us who run businesses, and I run a social enterprise, in the immediate aftermath of COVID arriving in the world, our business dropped, and we had to figure out what to do in that moment. And it's so interesting now after the fact to reflect with people in different organizations and different leaders of all sorts of organizations. And everyone reflects how they made it through. And most organizations did make it through. Many made it through. And we did as well. And we actually came out even stronger than we were. I was fortunate to join the organization not long before COVID, about 9 months before COVID hit. And it was a very strong organization. 9 months into my leadership, everything changed. Mm-hmm. But what we did in the organization was to digitize the organization in ways that we couldn't have imagined doing as quickly as we did. So an organization working in the higher ed space that had partnered with universities worldwide and done so in a paper-based manner for 4+ decades within a 9-month period, digitized. And universities around the world joined us in that transformation. So we transformed. We also transformed to meet the needs of the world by providing more philanthropic support and aligning our social impact initiatives with the needs that people were facing. So while March 2020 was uncertain and frightening, when we looked at the end of 2020 and we look back now, we rose to the challenge, we transformed, and we showed up in the world in even more meaningful ways. And that's what I reflect on. And it's good to share that same journey with so many leaders and colleagues.
So that is such a great story of doing something so quickly in 9 months that I'm sure people would have preferred to agonize over for a long period of time. And what did that have to, so congratulations. And what's the leadership you needed to bring to that, to guide people who uncertainty, anxiety, you probably had your own, like what got pulled out of you as far as the leader? What did people need from you? How did you need to show up to lead through that? Well,
I often talk about showing up every day consistently and being present. And I showed up every day. I was really engaged with my colleagues. We were tracking things on a real-time basis. And we were adapting every day. We were transforming every day. And we were communicating what we were doing every day. We were learning from other organizations. We were pushing ourselves. We were understanding what was happening to the general population and to those we serve, international students, immigrants, and refugees. And we were managing our business and everything else we do in sort of real time with responsiveness like no other time. We had defined, actually during COVID, we were developing our strategic plan for 5 years too. And we had identified some key values for the organization around opportunity and inclusion and equity and being an enterprising organization and continuing to build our expertise in what we do. And boy, did we lean into our values during that year. And particularly into the values of inclusion and equity. So it was an uncertain time, but my colleagues and our organization showed up in ways that I couldn't have imagined with the uncertainties presented.
And when you talk about it, it's almost like there's pride. I see the pride and like it was a good experience. I don't know how, there's another word that's not coming to me, like pride and enjoyable, even though I'm sure it wasn't every day, but does it bring community together? Does it feel, yeah.
Yes, it brought our team together. And, I was reflecting with some of my colleagues who had been at the organization for, 2 decades in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And we will forever remember our colleagues that we worked with in 2020. And we bonded and we connected and we rallied together. So, I think we remember 2001 in that same way. Yeah. And we'll remember 2020 in that way. And we are forever connected by that common experience of how we got through an incredibly challenging time.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was thinking of September 11th, and it just, I see it so much in you, the way you're talking, what's shining out of your face, what a seminal moment or period that was. So, and you're also, when talking about we, it's very much, this is what we, the team, the community, this is what we accomplished.
It's all about the team. How lucky are we to work with the colleagues and the teams that we have? It is all about them. We figured it out together. And that's not just for 2020, it's always.
And that's a particular leadership style. So not everybody has that perspective. So I'm just underlining that for future. And so, Esther, let's flip the conversation a teeny bit on the other side of the coin, or maybe it's not even the same coin, is what keeps you up at night? What are the things that keep you up at night?
So, Lynn, we talked a little bit about how I took a personal and professional sabbatical year, right? Mm-hmm. And part of what I did during that year was to learn to sleep. So I try not to have sleepless nights anymore, having spent about 25 years probably sleeping 4.5, maybe 5 hours a night. So I now sleep and I try to sleep well. It is so important for our long-term health, right? So hopefully we don't have too many things that keep us awake at night because we need our rest. I think what I think about, what I keep at the forefront is our organization showing up in the world the way it should? And am I showing up for my team, my colleagues, and those we serve in the way that I should as a leader? And so I'm always reflecting on what I'm personally doing and what the organization is doing, and just always sort of course correcting every day how we show up individually, how I show up personally, and how the organization shows up to advance the mission and to serve the communities that we aim to serve.
I love that. And thank you for saying it that way with those three things. Do you have a practice that you use? A system, or is it, or just a reflection? How am I doing? Or how do you keep yourself looking at those three buckets and evaluating or reflecting on them?
Well, during my sabbatical year, I also took up yoga and did yoga every day during that year. So yoga and reflection time is a big part of what I do. I also have, a core group of colleagues who help me reflect on what we're doing every day. I have a group of people who are just core mentors in my life, who've been mentors for a long time. I have peer mentors, several leaders who run their own organizations, and they are a source of insight and just amazing feedback. And I've also developed over time, relationships with people I call reverse mentors, younger people. In many cases, I've mentored them, but over time, they've also become reverse mentors, really helping me understand what young people, rising leaders, young leaders, emerging professionals are thinking about and how they think about the future, and encouraging them to help me reflect on my leadership. And so all of these are ways to reflect on myself and my organization.
And I appreciate that it's, the yoga, the personal reflection, and then surrounding yourself with people, both young people, peer mentors, colleagues. So to be open to all of that. And then you use the word a lot, showing up. And so you're showing up in a way that lets all that information or feedback or whatever it is be available, come into you. So it's a decision that one has to make. Yeah, absolutely. And seems like you've got the structures to do that, to set that up. And hats off to you, because those are what I see in the world, those are the best leaders, are the ones that do reflect, are constantly looking for feedback, information, input on how they're doing the team, the organization. So it's crucial. Oh, and sleep. Let us not forget sleep. I love sleep. I'm a big fan of sleep. People aren't getting enough sleep. You're not going to be your best if you're not getting your sleep. Right? Absolutely. And just so to wrap up, what advice would you give to younger people now that you know what you know at the ripe old age of however old you are? What advice would you give to younger people?
I would say it's going to be okay. You're going to do great. And think about your future in terms of not achieving success, but a contribution mindset. I think we think too much about a success mindset. And I've always encouraged young people to be clear about the contribution that they want to make in the world, and be bold. I am always talking about justice. How do we move the world forward in terms of justice and equity? And finally, integrity and character, nothing more important. And people have to be able to trust your integrity and your character. So those are some of the things I often share. It's going to be okay. You're going to do great. Do you. Find your vocation. Be clear about your contributions and protect your integrity above all.
I love that. And what a lovely note for us to end on. And so, Esther, it has been really, really important to me to have you on and contributing your thoughts and your perspective. For me, myself, you've made my day lift up. So I assume that others are going to feel the same. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It was a pleasure to join you.
Thanks.